The sports you love, the teams you can't live without.
Get a sense of urgency!
This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone. It's time to talk a little Mammoth hockey as they go on, into the break on a positive note. Joining us now makes the magic happen on the Mammoth broadcast. He's our buddy Nick Olczyk. What's going on, Nick?
Jake and Ben, what's up, boys? Couple of huge games there before the break, and now everybody can take a nice big deep breath and enjoy the next couple of weeks. But was a hell of a last couple of nights there at the Delta Center.
We've seen this team really ride momentum positively and negatively, and I thought after losing to the Hurricanes that might be a borderline disastrous end of that road trip that could bleed into the Olympics, and they bounce back maybe as well as they bounce back at any point since they've been in Utah.
Yeah, I think it's times like that where you have to rely on the veterans in your group, the guys that have been around, the Nate Schmitz, the Ian Coles, guys like Mikhail Sergachev, who's got 2 Stanley Cups to his name, and Kevin Stenlund, who's got a Stanley Cup as well, and obviously it starts and ends with the guys you pay a lot of money to produce for your team, the likes of Clayton Keller and Nick Schmaltz and so on and so forth. And I just think that, the one thing is that this group really hasn't gotten too high or too low too often. I mean, it's going to happen over the course of an 82-game grind, no doubt. I mean, let's think back to October where this team won 7 in a row. And then after that 7th game, they went on to lose 9 of the next 11. So I think that they maybe had a little bit of learning, a little bit of maturing, a little bit of figuring out what to do earlier in the year. But, whether it is that game against Carolina, the epic collapse there at the end of the game, but let's also not forget 8 days prior is when they had the comeback of this franchise's history, completing the 2-goal comeback and then the OT winner against the Philadelphia Flyers, which was the feeling of emotion, the exact opposite of what they were feeling in Carolina. And then they come home and you chase the game against the Dallas Stars. You let up a couple of power play goals, and then you're sitting there after the Dallas game and going, oh, boy. I mean, we've lost 3 out of our last 4. We got to win these next 2 going into the break, and then they outscore their opposition against Vancouver and Detroit 10-3. So I just think that this team has handled the momentum swings really well in a season, and there's going to be stretches where the power play's ice cold. There's going to be stretches where the PK is ice cold, and they ran into a portion of time there where both were pretty cold at the same time. But now you see the light at the end of the tunnel. You keep your head above water. You keep pushing and finding solutions and adjustments through some of the tough times, and look at where this team is at right now, currently sitting in the top wild card spot, 4 points from being out of a playoff position. And yes, some teams that are below them do have games in hand, but this team has positioned themselves in a heck of a spot, and I think everybody should be very excited for the final 25 games because it is going to be an absolute sprint to the end of the regular season.
3 weeks off is an eternity, and I would guess that the team that's playing well, riding a little wave right now, probably it's not ideal to take 3 weeks off. So I guess with that in mind, what's the regimen do you think going to be like? I'm sure they'll give them time off and R&R, but how do they stay sharp and keep the momentum going? Yeah,
well, a lot of these guys that will not be playing in the Olympics, I mean, they're going to get a good week and a half off, and deservedly so. This season more than any other season with the condensed schedule has really been a bear for these guys to try to handle and prepare for both mentally and physically day in and day out. And, the injuries are up slightly. I think when we get to the end of the season, we will probably find out that a lot of these guys were playing hurt, as hockey players always do. But I think even more so this year with guys trying to make their Olympic team and players trying to give their team the best chance by having them in the lineup. And I've talked to some players, and it's not even just the fact of playing a lot of games. Like hockey players love playing a lot of games. These guys would rather play the games than practice. But I would say even more so it's the recovery, trying to make sure that their bodies are in the best condition possible after games. With travel, while being on the road and not having the full access to the equipment, to the devices and the tools, and just the comfort of being at home. And so now, all the guys not named Keller, Vamelka, Peterka, and Mata will have a chance to, go experience some 80-degree weather on a beach in Mexico, or have a staycation here in Utah, or just hang out at home and try to rest, recover, and reset, because there's nothing quite like the excitement of when you come back to practice and you know that you've got a playoff push to go. But with all that relaxation being said, these guys are still going to stay in shape. They're still going to lift some weights. They're still going to get on the bike. They're still going to work on their cardio. But I think a very well-deserved, toned down week of time here coming up for not just the Utah Mammoth players, but I think for the good of all players in the National Hockey League, which should lead to an energized stretch run here at the end of the season.
Do you think this helps the veterans in the NHL more, or some of the young players to get this mini break before the final push of the season?
I would say both, and I'm not trying to cop out, but I really would say both, because the guys that have been around, right? I mean, their bodies are naturally going to be a little bit more worn down. So I think that's going to give them the time that they need, and especially for those guys on a human side of things, to spend more time with their families. I mean, these National Hockey League players are away from their families so many nights throughout the course of the year, especially with how many road games that the Mammoth specifically have played up until this point. I think for the human element, I think it's going to be a much welcomed break for the guys that do have families that can really spend a significant amount of time with their significant others and with their kids. And for the younger players, for guys that are maybe still learning what it takes to really understand, and understand is not necessarily just in the head, but in the body of what the grind of 82 games is. I think this will be a great reset for those guys as well, just to be able to breathe, get a little reprieve, and attack this season once it resumes. So I really do think it is split up the middle, because there's so many pros to this, but also understanding that these guys have to make sure that they're ready, because, boys, once this break is over, you've got the Colorado Avalanche at home on Wednesday, February 25th, and then you take on the Minnesota Wild 2 days later at home. And, oh, by the way, for those that may not be keeping tabs on the standings, those are the first and second teams both in the Central Division, which is the Mammoth division, as well as the two best teams in the entire National Hockey League. So it's not like you get a little couple of warm-up games here, and look, we know no easy games in the league, but it's not like you're going to be playing bottom-of-the-barrel teams. You're coming right out of the break facing teams that you're chasing in the standings. And so I think that's motivation enough for these guys to make sure that they're ready, whether they are an older player or a younger player, once this break concludes.
For those of us who are going to be dialed into the Olympics and what's going on in that tournament, talk about the differences between NHL hockey and Olympic hockey. And do you like Olympic hockey?
I love it, and I'm just so happy. And guys, I've said this. People are probably getting tired of it, but I know that there's always the chance of somebody new listening. But just to provide a little perspective and context here is that the National Hockey League players, it's not like they've played in every Olympics. It's not like we've had Olympic games playing ice hockey where it's always been best on best. As a matter of fact, the last 12 years, the National Hockey League players have not played at the Olympic Games. The last time they did was 2014. And so I'm so thrilled for the world to watch the very best put on their country's colors, because a lot of these guys, especially over in the European countries, because while the NHL nowadays is like that's where everybody wants to get to, it wasn't all that long ago where technology wasn't advanced, to the point where, kids in Slovakia and kids in Czechia would go on their iPhone and they'd find highlights of their favorite NHL players. Like back in the day, those guys just wanted to play in the professional leagues where they grew up. They wanted to represent their country. And so the foundational pride of being able to put on your country's colors is, I think that may even be a first dream for a lot of these players. And you even think about a guy like a Clayton Keller, who before he played in the NHL, he was wearing the red, white, and blue when he was 16 years old at World Junior Championships representing the United States. And so, that carries a massive weight. And so to have the National Hockey League players, the best in the world, taking on one another and on the biggest international stage. I love it. I can't wait to see it. And I think we all got a really nice glimpse as to what it could be like last year at the Four Nations face-off. It'll be different. There will be double IHF rules, meaning that, for example, there's no fighting. Rules are going to be called. Penalties are going to be called a little bit differently. They're going to have half international double IHF, which stands for the International Ice Hockey Federation. They're going to have referees from that conglomeration, and they're also going to have National Hockey League referees over there as well. And so they're going to find a way to balance that because refs call games differently. The double IHF, I think they're a little bit more apt and willing to call penalties and from their perspective protect the players more. And as I mentioned, no fighting. And the other thing, too, guys, that we have to understand is that the rink dimensions are going to be a little bit different over in Milano. And an NHL rink is 200 feet by 85. And due to some miscalculations or maybe the exchange currency is 3 shy of that, going from an NHL rink to a rink built in Italy, but it's going to be only 197 feet long. Like, is that going to make the biggest difference in the world? No, because you give these NHL players a chance to represent their countries in a parking lot in a frozen city. They would go and play there because these guys really push for this in the latest collective bargaining agreement. So there will be some things that are a little bit different. But at the end of the day, to see our players, the best players in the world, on the grandest stage is going to be something that is appointment television. And I know, like a lot of other people, I am so excited. And I'm really not just saying that. It's going to be an amazing tournament.
Well, Nick, along those lines, one of the fun things about the Olympics is you get to root for players who are generally on other teams if you're a Mammoth fan. So if you're an American, who are the names that you are watching? Who are going to be the players that, if they win gold or get to the gold medal game, are going to play the biggest role?
Well, the guys I think that really jump off the page are, the likes of Jack Eichel, who is a bona fide number one superstar player in the NHL who plays for the Vegas Golden Knights. And there was actually a guy playing for the Detroit Red Wings last night, and Dylan Larkin, who is such a versatile player in that he's the number one center for the Detroit Red Wings, and he's their captain. But when he represented the United States last year at the Four Nations Face-Off, he was trusted more in a role player type of role, where he wasn't playing 20 minutes a night. He wasn't playing on the first or the second line. He was more of a depth center, a penalty killer, and he was and will continue to be heralded for the work that he did in those facets. And the other thing too that's really awesome about the Olympics, Jake and Ben, is that superstar players in the NHL will go over, and it doesn't mean that they're going to play that superstar role for their country. And a guy like a Clayton Keller, he may not get top 6 minutes, and so then if he is playing and to see what line he's going to be on and see the type of role he's going to have, like what an amazing thing to embrace that different type of responsibility on a team. And then when the Olympics are over, hopefully with the United States bringing back a gold medal, that those players can come back and it's all of a sudden now they're going to have a whole new understanding of the other roles on a team. And look, these guys are the best of the best. So it's not like, I don't know how to play this type of role, but just to be able to have that experience and be forced into one of those types of spots, I think is going to be great for all of these players. And so to see the different roles that guys take on, I think is always one of the more exciting things for me, because you are joining the guys that are the greatest to do what they do, coming from your country. But the names that jump off the page, I'm really excited to see the Winnipeg Jets goaltender Connor Hellebuck. It's been a rough year for the Winnipeg Jets. And can Connor Hellebuck kind of put all of that behind him and be the best goalie in the league, which I think he certainly has a case to call himself. I mentioned Jack Eichel. Tage Thompson's another guy who made the United States team for the first time and will be in his first Olympics. He can shoot the puck as well as anybody in the league, especially a one-timer on the power play. And the list goes on. And so no matter who they play for the NHL club, If they're wearing red, white, and blue, I'm all in on everybody. But again, the aspect of each guy assuming a little bit of a different role or a lot of a different role will be something that'll be really, really awesome to see from the start to the finish of the Olympic Games.
All right, this is kind of, well, it is definitely changing gears. But when I think of Olympic hockey, I think of the Miracle on Ice. And then I think of the movie Miracle, which I thought was very good. Mm-hmm. And it got me to thinking, hockey is a pretty strong movie vehicle, right? Because basketball sucks for movies. Mm-hmm. Baseball's great. Football, boxing, obviously amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you think about hockey as a vehicle for movies? Yep. And what is the best hockey movie?
Well, I know I'm biased, but when I watch Miracle, it's hard not to repeat as many lines as I know, which is quite a few. I think every hockey fan or every hockey player has watched Miracle upwards of 20 times, whether it be riding in mom and dad's car, looking at the DVD player if you had one in your car, to and from every hockey road trip, or on the bus with the boys when you were playing junior hockey in the teenage years. I think it's an amazing vehicle because of everything that hockey teaches. And I don't mean to get overly philosophical here and put on my teaching cap, but I just think for everything that hockey teaches people about the importance of selfishness, the importance of course, hard work and dedication to what you do, but most importantly of what it's like to be part of a team, what it's like to be part of something that's bigger than yourself, to truly lay your body on the line for the guy sitting next to you or the girl sitting next to you. To me, other than protecting your country, like that's something that is something to really take a lot of pride in. And so everything that hockey stands for, hockey culture, I'm so proud to be part of the game. And I think that certain movies like Miracle have captured the spirit of the game, a willingness to play through things. You know, the infamous scene, the knee's a hell of a long way from the heart in the locker room. Like that's the ultimate dedication, I think, is to fight through something for things that are greater than yourself. And so whether it's Miracle, whether it's Slapshot, which I would recommend to any of the older audience listening, if you're under the age of 18, please do not watch it. But if you're over 18, it is a movie where you will laugh, you will scoff, you will maybe shed a tear or two. But that's an absolute classic as well. You've got movies like Youngblood, which tells the story about a star player who's trying to fit in on his new team. You've got The Mighty Ducks for any of the younger audience out there, which captures the imagination of some really fun characters that have gone on to have amazing acting careers and whatnot. So look, sports in general, guys. I mean, you guys know this, working together, working at the great radio station and in sports and in media that you guys do. Like, you're not always going to love everybody you work around. Like, that's just a reality of life. If you can like more than you don't, that's great. But it doesn't mean that you put that in front of the job at hand. It means that no matter what you're doing, where you are, you're going to support the people as best you can around them and put forth your best effort, so that way the rising tide can bring all the boats with it. So hockey has been my life since I came out of the womb with a stick in my hands, as my mom says. I don't know if that's possible or sanitary, but that's how she says. So I know I'm very biased in that regard, but just the sport, what it teaches you, especially young people, whether it be movies, whether it be actually playing, whether it be watching highlights or following the Utah Mammoth, I think there is no greater sport to follow and to be part of.
Mystery Alaska, way underrated.
Yes, 100%.
Russell Crowe and Burt Reynolds together at last. Is The Cutting Edge a hockey movie or a figure skating movie?
Ooh. Well, when I think figure skating, I know Blades of Glory. I know Blades of Glory is a figure skating movie, but I'm just going to have to say that I'm being honest with you guys, I haven't heard of Cutting Edge.
It's early '90s romance. If you've got
is it figure skating or hockey?
That's what I'm saying. Well, it's a hockey player who turns into a figure skater. If you've got a need of a cozy romantic movie, Nick, turn on Cutting Edge.
All right, take. I think we all need one of those. So good.
Happy Gilmore, hockey movie.
Oh, yeah, of course. That's that opening scene when he's trying to when he's trying to make the team at the tryouts, and he's surprised that he's cut, and then he goes, well, why was I cut? And he goes, well, because he took his skate off and tried to stab somebody with it. Like, it's just Adam Sandler is fantastic in all those old movies of Happy Gilmore and Big Daddy and all those. Those are a blast. Billy Madison too, of course.
Happy Gilmore 2 might have been the worst movie
pretty rough
ever made.
Pretty rough.
I haven't seen it, but I heard good things. But you guys are the first I've heard that said it was bad.
It's terrible. I mean,
watch Shoresy instead.
You
want some hockey content? Take up Shoresy.
To say bad is an understatement. Nick, we love you. We appreciate you coming on. Thanks for all that you do.
My pleasure, guys. I appreciate you having me back every week. It's always something that I really look forward to. So the love is mutual. Hopefully you guys can enjoy a little bit of a break from hockey, even though we all don't want ever a break from hockey. I think it'll be nice to kind of recharge your batteries and come back for what will be. And I want everybody to hear me when I say this. This team has as good of a chance as any team in this position to make the playoffs. And I ain't saying that because they cut my checks. I watched this team for 57 straight games. This team will be there in the end. So make sure that you don't miss any of it when the Utah Mammoth are back in action on February 25th.
Thanks, Nick.
See you, boys.
See you, buddy. All right, there you go. That's our friend Nick Olczyk with us. Rank sports for movie vehicles.
Boxing.
1. I think that's a given.
Golf.
2? Really? Think golf? I would put baseball 2.
Okay, yeah, baseball's probably 2. People like baseball more than golf historically in our country, so people have invested more into making great movies about baseball.
Baseball's also
translates extremely well.
It's also slower, so it's not necessarily if a basketball movie has basketball recreation in it, and they pick these actors that have no idea how to play basketball.
Same with football, it doesn't work.
Yeah, right. It just doesn't. But hockey, we just rattle off a bunch of awesome movies. I would put hockey maybe right behind baseball. I don't know. You throw golf in there. Yeah.
Individual sports are easy to make movies about. Baseball is basically an individual sport. Yes, it's a team, but there's 9 different guys.
There's never been a good tennis movie made.
Challengers last year was the best movie of last year. Challengers absolutely rules.
Yeah, I never saw it.
Yeah, well, I don't think there's ever been a good boxing movie made. You seen Raging Bull? No.
Yeah, but Raging Bull was made 40 years ago.
Well, you weren't alive then.
But I mean, I've had a lot of time to see it.
Sure. You've had a year and a half to see Challengers.
What's that Kirsten Dunst tennis movie? I heard that was terrible.
Match Point?
Is that what it was?
Is she in that one, or is that with ScarJo?
Where would you put Bobsled? Because Cool Runnings is pretty amazing.
Very good.
But I'm pretty sure it carries the genre.
Yeah. Could we do an Olympic movie draft? There's probably not enough.
I bet
Bobsled,
we could find 10 Olympic movies.
Cool Runnings, and it's Miracle.
I would throw Cutting Edge as an Olympic movie.
Oh, you think so? Okay.
I think they go to the Olympics, yeah.
All right. Argo?
Was
Argo the Olympic? What's the one where they're trying to get everyone out? Not Argo.
Oh, no. That's you're thinking of Munich.
Came out same month, I think.
The old one, the famous one about the runner with the
Yeah.
with the soundtrack that everybody is always
Chariots of
familiar.
Fire?
Chariots of Fire.
Yeah.
You guys are burning all your
Well, we're not
selections.
going to draft it. There's only 3. We've named them all.
Oh, I think there's way more. All right, stay tuned. We're going to talk to Damichael Cole coming up next. He covers the Grizz, so we'll get his thoughts on the Jaren Jackson Jr. trade straight ahead. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Who's got it better than us? Your home for the best sports coverage in Utah. You're listening to Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. The Jazz acquisition of Jaren Jackson Jr. continues to be the biggest story in town. So joining us now to talk about it, he covers the Grizzlies for the Memphis Commercial Appeal. He's Damichael Cole with us here on Jake and Ben. Damichael, thanks for a few minutes. How are you doing?
Hey, guys, I'm surviving. Another trade deadline here in Memphis, and as you guys can see, it's been pretty busy, but we're getting through it.
Yeah, this is a different type of trade deadline for the Grizzlies, who have traditionally tried to be a buyer for the last couple of deadlines, and then they moved off of Desmond Bane over the summer, and then obviously now Jaren Jackson Jr. So give us some background on what you know about Jaren Jackson Jr. and the type of person and player the Jazz are getting.
Oh, man, I mean, I don't know where to start. I mean, there's two kind of, pathways you can go down there where you're talking about the person. Jaren was as involved in the Memphis community as, any player in my time, without a doubt. I used to joke, with people, around there that he was like the unofficial spokesperson for the Grizzlies. At the beginning of the season when a player has to get the mic and go to half court and, thank the fans for their support, it was Jaren Jackson Jr. every year. At the end of the season when the player has to do that, it was Jaren Jackson Jr. On MLK Day when the Grizzlies play, it's Jaren, thanking the fans, talking about the importance of MLK Day. He has his own foundation, Jaren Jackson Jr. Foundation, where it's basically just, it's a kind of an ode to the way he grew up. He grew up with a father who played in the league. He also grew up with a mother who's now, working with the WNBA Players Association. So he's kind of brought up in this professional setting where he understands the business. He understands, his duty, I guess you could say, as a player who has a platform, who has a voice. And he's real good with those things on the floor, transitioning more to the basketball side. You're getting a player who, he notable flaws, but he has notable strengths as well. With his strengths, I mean, he has pretty much improved every single year of his career, becoming a more all-around offensive player. He's getting to the basket. When he's playing the 4, he's usually stronger than guys. When he's playing the 5, he's usually quicker on the offensive end. He hasn't been recording as many blocks as usual in recent years, but the other underrated part of his defense is his hands. He gets a lot of steals, deflections, and things like that. You'll see when guys drive to the basket on him, he'll reach every now and then and knock the ball loose. So, he's an all-around defender. Of course, the two weaknesses that a lot of people point to with Jaren is, he's often been in foul trouble over the course of his career. And then, of course, the rebounding. But I've learned that in the time covering the Grizzlies, when you pair him with someone who's a high-quality rebounder, you kind of minimize, those weaknesses a little bit. The Grizzlies, you remember when they were at their best, they had Steven Adams. In a smaller sample size, when he played alongside of Zach Edey, we saw those similarities as well. So when you pair him, with a big who can, where rebounding doesn't have to be the main focus for him, where he can play the 4 spot instead of the 5. I think he maximized Jaren's skill set.
I'm curious, the fans around here, Damichael, are seeing this as a signal that the rebuild is over and that they're going to get back to competing for playoffs next year. And I'm curious, as somebody, you don't cover the Jazz, obviously, but as somebody who covers the NBA, I'm curious to what you think about his fit with this current Jazz team. You mentioned he likes, playing against another big, Jazz with Walker Kessler, Lauri Markkanen, obviously, Ace Bailey, the young rookie. Curious to your thoughts on how this fits for the Jazz.
Well, the good is, again, you can pair him with Kessler and Markkanen, and I think he fits right in that group. He's very skilled. He can play on the perimeter. When Walker Kessler is in foul trouble, you can slide him to the 5 in stretches. He did that in Memphis, a large part of his career, and he can play at the 5 and take advantage of mismatches there as well. So I think it's a strong fit, from that standpoint. I think Keontae George, because of his ability to shoot the basketball a little bit better than Ja, will be probably a better kind of, partner from that standpoint where, Ja and Jaren's kind of inconsistent shooting abilities kind of made it tough at times for those two to kind of mesh really well. If you want to hear the downside, I'd say that, I think, when we talk about Utah, Lauri Markkanen isn't kind of renowned for his passing ability. And I remember as Ace Bailey was coming through the draft process, that wasn't a big thing, for him either. And Jaren Jackson Jr., has pretty much throughout the most of his time in Memphis has graded out as one of the, in the bottom tier of the league in playmaking. So you'll see a lot of times against the Grizzlies, teams will bring, double teams, from the weak side. They'll blitz them. And, sometimes he'll turn the ball over. Sometimes he'll pass out of it, but it's usually sometimes not the right pass. And sometimes he just says, screw it. I'm just going to try to score over it. But he still hasn't developed, as a strong playmaker. If you look at his numbers over the course of the years, you'll see several seasons where he averaged more turnovers than assists. So I'm looking at the fact that, Ace Bailey, Lauri Markkanen, and Jaren Jackson Jr., three guys not really known for their playmaking ability is probably going to put a lot on Keontae George.
Continuing with that, where do you think Jaren Jackson is most comfortable as far as like being a go-to scorer? Lauri Markkanen's almost 28 points a game. He's kind of the number one option for the Jazz. Is Jaren Jackson best as a number two best scorer? Is he best as a number three? How do you think he approaches that and how he views it also?
Yeah, 2 or 3 is the best. Right. I mean, if you have him as your third option, man, that's a big win. But like this season, for example, while Ja's been out, the Grizzlies have gone to Jaren a lot in those clutch time situations, and the numbers haven't been good. He's not graded out as a good, scorer in clutch time moments this year. He's been actually one of the league's worst in that category. But if you go over the course of Jaren's career and you look at his numbers in isolations, he's actually been really good, so he's usually at his best when you can give him the ball, top of the key. He can use that. Again, he's a 6'10", 6'11" guy with wiggle and strength. So when he has that smaller guy on him, he can be physical and use his left hand, use his right hand. And when he has the bigger guy on him, I think of, a guy who's in Utah now, Joseph Nurkic, when he was with the Phoenix Suns. I know that was a matchup that Jaren kind of dominated a couple times that season just because of his quickness and his ability to just slide by him and just get to his spot. So, as long as he's not a number one option, I think it'll be fine. And, again, if he's a number 3 option, that's even better.
Damichael Cole is with us, covers the Grizzlies for the Memphis Commercial Appeal. And, Damichael, I've got to give you a compliment for a man who's obviously got to be glued to his phone, watching for text messages about Ja Morant, and doing a radio interview in Salt Lake at the very same time. You are killing it. So the question we want to know is Ja going to move?
Look, at this moment, the only thing I could say is it's looking more and more unlikely, but keep an eye on this situation with Giannis. That's kind of what I've been told. This Giannis situation, now that he's staying in Milwaukee. Milwaukee was one of the teams very early on when, it was reported that the Grizzlies were listening to offers on Ja. Milwaukee was one of the teams that reached out very early on in the process. So that is a team that potentially could circle back here. But the Grizzlies have been very firm. Like, one thing about the Grizzlies is they will not trade if they don't think it's even. They don't care about the optics of what things look like. If they don't feel like they're getting the value that they want, they'll say, fine, we won't do it. And, so far that seems to be the case here, where it clearly would be a weird situation if Ja's back, given, the trades that just were made. Man, they're going to play hardball. But I think Milwaukee is a team to watch in this closing stretch here.
The Jazz are going to be keeping an eye on the Memphis Grizzlies to close the season because they are the next closest team, I believe, in the West, or right there when it comes to the tanking, the lottery standings. And now, obviously, Memphis is going to be trying to get that pick as high as possible. That said, they keep winning these weird games. They won last night. How is Memphis going to approach this? Is it going to be an all-out tank? Are they going to be resting players to make sure they lose as much as possible? Or are they just going to let this play out?
I think it'll start soft. It'll be a little soft tank at first, and then they'll embrace it. As the season goes on here. They got some key players out right now like Zach Edey, Ja Morant. If he stays past the deadline, they'll probably tell those guys, just get your rest And I think they'll position themselves well to get somewhere in the range of getting a top 8 pick.
What can you tell us about John Conchar and Vince Williams?
Two defensive-minded guys, but in different ways. They're both actually really good rebounders. I think what comes to mind with John Conchar is instincts, right? I often compare him to a free safety in football when watching him play basketball, because you'll see plays like when the opposing team is inbounding the ball and a guy, like he comes over there and he just can anticipate where the ball is going and he'll like knock it away or something like that. He's really good at those little instinctual things. John Conchar is. Offensively, he's not going to give you a lot. He's going to offensive rebound. He's going to knock down an occasional shot, but he's not going to give you a lot offensively. Vince Williams, he kind of grew into a playmaker a little bit more this season with the Grizzlies having all the injuries at point guard, but his shooting, kind of plummeted, as a result of that. He's coming into the league, he's known as kind of more of like a 3-and-D guy. He's had some foot injuries over the last couple seasons where he still, to this day hasn't really been 100%. So if you get 100% Vince Williams, it's a steal, because he at his best, if you go back a couple years ago, he was guarding Kevin Durant, he was guarding Luka Doncic, and all those guys were giving him praise. But as he's kind of navigated through these foot injuries the last couple seasons, he's kind of lost a little bit of a step, and it's been tough on him.
Damichael, we know it's a crazy day for you, so we can't thank you enough for carving out a few for us. We really appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
All right, take care, guys.
Thanks, Damichael. Damichael Cole covers the Grizzlies for the Memphis Commercial Appeal.
We talked about this bench unit for the Jazz being basically a total mystery, Coming back next year, you do still have Isaiah Collier under contract and Cody Williams and Bryce Sensabaugh and Kyle Filipowski and Svi Mikhailuk, even though his deal is non-guaranteed. Now you've got Vince Williams, who's on a non-guaranteed deal, and John Conchar. I think the Jazz are going to be looking for experience. I think they're going to be looking for defensive players. And so I think Vince Williams probably has a pretty realistic chance to stick around. I mean, that's a guy that's already on a small contract, and if he can offer, something different that the rest of these players can't, he can be really valuable. The same could be said for Conchar, who's owed $6 million next season. So be curious who actually is still on the roster. I don't think anyone with an expiring deal should be really expected to be around. And that might include Yusuf Nurkic, unless you can bring him back for a steal. But the Jazz aren't going to want to go into next year with just only a bunch of young guys coming off the bench, because they want to make the playoffs, and you can't lose a run in the playoffs because your second unit players aren't ready. They don't matter enough, truthfully, to hold you up like that.
Stay tuned. We'll wrap up the show coming up next. Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Who's got it better than us? Nobody! Your home for the best sports coverage in Utah. You're listening to Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Two amigos on the airwaves, talking sports. They got it made, Jackson on soul. Loves his tie guy, Ben's got style with his scarf. Oh my.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Hey, Scotty G is going to be live tomorrow with the good folks at Bar WB from noon to 3 at the Grill, 2264 South Main Street in Nephi. Ben, you ready for this quote from Donovan Mitchell?
Oh, I love it.
Talking about now the Cavs have traded for James Harden. He said, quote, "Our ceiling is definitely higher when you have a guy like James Harden. He brings scoring, playmaking, and experience from playoff games and the NBA Finals. Our goal is to try to get it done now," unquote. Has James Harden been to the NBA Finals?
He has not.
So that's that. And also,
he did with the
Thunder, right?
He has.
Oh,
yes.
yeah, you're right.
As the
when he was
sixth
third
man.
fiddle.
Yeah.
But then why do you have to drag Darius Garland like that? This is kind of always a thing with Donovan Mitchell. A little bit backhanded, where he's insulting the guy on the way out the door by complimenting
There was a
the new guy.
report out of Cleveland, a guy who covers the Cavaliers, and I couldn't see who. I can't find it now, but he said they got along well off the floor, like they got along fine, but they did not like playing together. Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell, which makes sense. Darius Garland asked for a trade this summer after Donovan got there.
I'm sure he hated it. Yeah.
They're the same player.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not the same player, but they're the same position. You know, it's 2 point guards that are want to score and kind of want to have the ball in their hands. And the problem for Donovan is that James Harden is just that on steroids.
Yeah.
And he's bigger, and he is a better player than Darius Garland today. He's not going to be 2 years from now. He's a better player today, but it doesn't make Donovan a better player.
No, this is stuffing the biggest tabby cat you could find right through the hole in the wall.
Right in the wall.
We've got to fix the problem that we have 2 ball-dominant guards. I know. What if we get an even more ball-dominant guard? That'll do it.
Yeah. No, it's
ridiculous.
There have been some not great trades that have gone down.
The ceiling is not higher, though. Not just going to disagree with Donovan Mitchell.
No, it's in a different place.
Maybe.
But it's not higher.
I
It's
think
just the ceiling looks different.
I think they're the exact same team, except a little fatter.
Yeah, a little. Well, and here's the
A lot
problem.
more glitter.
A lot more glitter.
More glitter. Some late nights.
Yeah.
Slower plane flights leaving town.
I mean, the red light district in Cleveland had a good trade deadline.
Correct.
I did see a sign welcoming him.
Yeah, I'm
Welcome,
sure.
James.
He's going to go put some gals through college.
The problem for the Cavaliers now is that they're going to have to pay James Harden this offseason. He wants to go places where he gets paid. It's always been about the money for James, which is fine. He's a professional athlete. That's what he wants to do. They're going to now have to invest in him long term. And I know they were invested in Darius Garland long term and signed him to a big deal, but they're not getting any relief here. So the other issue is James is really unique. He's a very unique player. It takes a while to adjust to playing with him. And that's always been the case every stop he's been at. And you get better the longer he's there, I think. But by the time that happens, he decides he wants out. The problem is you only have 29 games now to figure this out. Like, you are doing all of this to appease Donovan Mitchell. The problem is, we've talked about this a lot. Jazz made a huge mistake giving Donovan the keys to the city. It was a big mistake. You made Donovan feel like the most important player, and then he took advantage of that.
He did.
And that doesn't mean he's a bad person, because I don't think Donovan Mitchell's a bad person at all. He seems very delightful. I enjoyed my time around him. But he certainly knows how to look out for Donovan. Like, he's not going to bend over backwards to make your life easier as the team owner. He's not going to take less money to make anyone else around him better. So you've put Donovan in this place of power. And now this summer, if he feels like I'm in this place of power and you're diminishing it or taking the ball out of my hands with James Harden, I'm not going to be happy. So I'm going to tell you what to do next. And the only option what to do next is to trade me. I mean, I truly believe that's coming this summer for the Cavaliers. And maybe they will balk and they won't trade him. But it's not going to be a happier Donovan Mitchell because he has James Harden on his roster.
Well, they're not going to win anyway.
No.
Stay tuned. Scotty G. Coming up next, we'll talk to you tomorrow.
Thanks, Christian.
On Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.